Hello, this is Mike with Iron Studio, just coming to you today with another project. So what we have before us is actually the Rose project. So this is a project that I've done in the past. It gets a lot of oohs and ahs, and I'm wanting to share with you how I make those, and actually to show you that it's really easy to make. This would be a fun thing to do with your kids. For, say you got a date coming up, you want to ask a gal out, or you want some pretty metal flowers that don't die. This is a fun, simple project. It is a little time consuming. It takes me about 2 hours to make one of these. I know the video won't be 2 hours, but just giving you a heads up. So this will probably take you 2-3 hours. But just kind of going to go ahead and show you what all it entails. So these two pieces are just two 4 by 10 inch sheets of aluminum. Won't really focus, but that's what they are. And you can get these sheets from Ace Hardware, Home Depot, Lowe's, any place like that. They come in a little, you usually see them in like this little bin. You can also get this at Hobby Lobby, I believe. But I like to use aluminum instead of steel because it's a soft metal, easily bendable with a pair of needle nose pliers. It's also relatively cheap. These pieces were $2.39. That's really reasonable. And the other thing I grabbed was this 3/16 brass rod. It's a solid rod. It needs to be solid. If you can find 1/4 inch, I'd use 1/4 inch, but I couldn't find it, and I wanted to show you guys you could get all the materials from that bin. But anyway, so those are the materials, super cheap, like I said. $2.39 per piece of aluminum, and used $2.99, so $3 for the brass rod. So essentially you're looking at, 3, 6, 9 $9 to make a rose. $9 and some spare time for the materials. And then the tools you'll need are some sort of ruler, a compass, a punch, or a center punch, and a pair of tin snips. You'll also need a hammer. Let me pull that out. I didn't have that in there a minute ago. And a hammer. Now it's there. And so this is all you'll need. I do cheat, and I do use a bench or belt grinder. I'll show you why and what I use that on, but you could get away with a file, or if you're super careful with the tin snips, you can get away with that as well. While I'm thinking of it, I forgot the other thing. So you don't want this hammer. I mean, you can use that hammer for the punch, but you're going to want a cross-peen hammer for the texture of the petals. Okay, there's the hammer you're looking for. Now I got it. And so when I say cross-peen, you're looking for a hammer that has kind of a thinner side, and this allows you to give the petals that kind of vein to them, those kind of marks. So that's kind of what you're looking for, and I'll cut it open and go over the next steps. So we have our sheets, and got some circles on them. And what we did was we used the ruler to get a couple different measurements with the compass. So what you'll do is, like for example, the first rose, I use the compass and I set it to 2 inches, and then I come to the piece, I go to the edge, I'll mark the middle, I'll come to the side, I'll mark the side. And then if you can see here, which you can't. I can't kind of. I mean, you can kind of see it. But, so you'll make the marks, and then you'll hit it with the punch. You know, hit it with the punch, whack. And then what you can do is you can take the compass, set it in that mark, and just go all the way around to make your line. Now, I added the black, one so you could see it, and then two because I could see it. And yeah, so you make some circles. Also, the mark in the center is very important as well. That is what you will use to drill your hole for the stem. So he doesn't go away, he is still useful. Yeah, so that's what the ruler is for. So you'll have different marks. So you could go down by the 16th, you could go down by an eighth, you could go down by a quarter. It really all, depends on what you want to do. Yeah, so you'll set the compass using the ruler. Yeah, so those are, I'd say, those tools are done with this step. And next step is to drill the holes and cut out the circles. And so real quick, when you're drilling the holes, you don't want to use anything that's the same size as your stem. So this is 3/16. So if you drill a 3/16 inch hole, this will not work because we're going to need to put a shoulder on the end of this, and then we'll rivet it. And that'll be what keeps it together. So you're going to want something, I don't know, a 1/16 smaller, so that there can be the shoulder on that rod. So I'll drill a hole. I'll drill an 1/8 inch hole through this, and then we'll have an 1/8 inch of material on this end, about yay big. I'll get that done. So I may have spoofed. I may have or may not have forgotten on my list a industrial size drill press. That's just a joke. You need a hand drill to poke in those holes. But I left that off the list. Anyway, we got the holes poked. We got the pieces cut out. Now what we'll do is we'll cut out the leaves. And so the big thing is here. Here, let me get like a pointer. That doesn't really help. It's kind of shiny. Anyway, so we'll make a line here, kind of in the center. And it'll have two legs like you're drawing a stick figure. And then there'll be two big pieces of pie, and you'll kind of want to split them evenly. And it'll just all come out looking right. The big thing is here, you don't have to be super accurate. If anything, the little differences in these make the beauty of it. And I got a pen. So let's go over this again. You'll just go straight down. You'll kind of come out to the side a little bit. Out to the other side. You got a peace sign. Then you got these two big pieces of pie up here. You're going to want to cut them in half. And just cut them in half again. And then voila. That'll be where you cut. And I actually highly recommend you cut these, or you draw them by hand, so that the petals are a little different, because that's what gives it, all these roses, a little bit different of a spin every time. One other thing to note is you are going to want to stay about a 1/4 inch away from the center. So you don't want to cut all the way to it. You want to cut, just this line here. That way you can keep the whole thing together. So I'll cut all those, and then we'll go to the next cut. So here they are, all cut. Like I was telling you, nothing fancy. You're just making 5 cuts, and it's pretty simple. One thing to note, you have arthritis or some sort of pain in your hands, I would not recommend this. Those cut through this stuff pretty easy, but it's I've done it quite a bit, and it kind of hurts my hands. But if you're just making one for fun, it's just fine. But if you're going to make 100 of them, I'd advise you to try a different way. Anyway, next thing we'll do is we will come, maybe here, let's try this. I think I can video this. So next thing we'll do is we're going to make a couple cuts. We're kind of going to make a relatively big cut here. It's going to go whoop. All right. Snip. And now we're going to make 2 more cuts. One here and one here. All right, we're going to dive down a little closer. 1, 2. All right, and there we go. As you can see, they're starting to take more of a rose or a petal shape. And so we got to do that to all of these. And yeah, so we'll get that done. So here's our petals. Nothing too fancy. And those 3 bites out of those corners really do it wonders. If you took your time, you could get them to look a lot nicer. Man, this is bad. Let's go over here in the corner. If you took your time, you could make those look a lot better. To clean them up, it'd probably be best for you to use a file, and that's why I kind of cheat and use the belt sander. So that's what I'll be doing next. But these are those pieces after they're all cut out. And while I'm over there, I'm going to go to the brass rod, and we are going to go, I don't know, 1/4 inch, 3/8 down, and we're going to shave a 1/16 off the top. Not this top, but I guess I should have said the sides. So we're just going to go 3/8 down, and then we're going to shave the side a 1/16 in, 1/16 total. So not a 1/16 off both sides. But we're gonna shave it down until it fits in that hole. That's what we're gonna do. So I'm gonna shave this, and we're going to round those even more. Now the pieces are all rounded. Look a little bit better. If you look here, they're not perfect. This one's big and oblonged. He looks funny. This side is more round. This side protrudes out. He's good. He's not bad. He's pretty good. But then we're back to the funny looking ones. But the nice thing about this is that creates a difference between all of them, and it makes it look like it wasn't manufactured. That's what makes it look like an actual flower. But anyway, we got those all rounded, and we got the brass to where it's sticking on, or you can put one of the flowers on there, and it's just, man, the quality of this is just amazing. Look at that. Anyway, I hope you can see that little section's smaller than the rod itself, and that's what's keeping the flower from falling down. And I also kind of pulled your leg. I went 1/2 of an inch down, instead of 3/8, just to make sure I had enough on there. And again, this I cheated. I used the belt grinder, but you can use a file. It'll take a while, but you can do it. So there's those pieces. Now the next step will be to texture all these. So we'll take this hammer and we'll go through and we'll bend these up. So what I like to do is I like to bend a couple of them up like that, and then a couple of them down, like that one down, and that one down, so that you have kind of two facing up, two facing down, and then one's kind of flat. And then I'll go to like a corner of a table, metal table, not your mother's kitchen table, some sort of big metal corner. 1/4-inch plate would work, even 1/8-inch plate with some sort of wood backer would work. And what you'll do is you'll come here, you'll set it down, and you'll hit it with a hammer. And that will be what puts those veins in there and gives it the texture. Now it is, as you are working this, since you are hitting it with the cross peen, what the cross peen is doing is it's actually spreading the metal out a little bit. So when you go to kind of rearrange some of these petals, they'll be hard to get by each other. Well, that's because these petals have actually grown slightly. But yeah, that's what we'll do to the rest of these. We'll get them textured and move on to the next step. All right, so we're back. There's a couple things that I did not communicate again. Tool-wise, one, so you'll need a pair of needle nose pliers. And what I've done with these is I've actually, there you go. I've actually ground on the inside to where it's nice and there's no bite to those teeth anymore. It's just flat. Also kind of rounded the edges. That way, when we go to start to bend those petals, these don't mar the rose. I do have another pair of these that are bent, kind of like so. But of course, lo and behold, I look for them, I can't find them. So I'm gonna have to find them. The other tool I forgot is the cross peen. You're gonna need a cross peen hammer. And so the next step of what we'll be doing is, since we have these textured, and that looks great, since we finally have these textured, we'll also need a vise. We have them textured. We have the rod or the stem in the vise, and it's best if you put it is kind of not quite to the bottom, but as close to that shoulder as you can. That way, when you start hammering it, it doesn't just bend the rod over. But so we'll take the petals, we'll put them on. We'll put them on the flower. We'll put the petals on the stem, and then we'll take it, and we'll rivet over the whatchamacallit, the little stem. See if I, just kind of putting them on, and from biggest to smallest. Help if I maybe look through the camera and not over the camera. So sometimes there's little burrs on the back. Probably wouldn't be a bad idea to get those off. Here's the last one. Okay, so they all fit. I'm going to have to put the camera down and then rivet it over. I need to make a stand or something for this camera. But anyway, yeah, so we'll rivet. You see the little nub there, right there. You can kind of see it. It's gold. But we'll rivet that. And then I'll find the pair of pliers and we'll go from there. That doesn't help too much. But so we got these riveted down. They are now attached to the stem. If you had any problems for whatever reason, you can grind that little nub out and then just lengthen the, take the, grind that shoulder back a little bit. But they are now attached. So what we'll be doing next is we'll be bringing these, oh, I got that one. Bringing these up, and we'll be folding them. I can't get it. We'll be folding them. Let me put the camera down. Just a little too stiff for my hands. So we'll just be bringing them up and giving them a bend. Just a cylindrical, it's kind of a cylindrical shape now. Nothing too fancy. I don't know if you can really see what's going on. Quality is just amazing. So we're kind of just bringing them up like that. With this one, I'm going to try and roll him in on himself, and then we kind of just try and bend everything else around him. These are a little stiffer than I'm used to, so this is, I like the thickness, but I've used some in the past where you can just mold it with your hands, especially with the brass. But then also, real quick, here's those pliers. I found them exactly where I left them. It's usually how that works. But yeah, so I'll bend him kind of in on himself, so we'll take him and bring him in. This will go around this piece, and then we'll kind of just fold it and scrunch it together. So we're kind of going opposites. So I know you can't really see it, but here's the one right here that we had. And so we got him folded up pretty good. And then we'll want to take, so he was over here, and then we want to take the one on the other side and wrap him around. And then so next we'll go to this one and fold him over. And then we'll go to the other side and fold him over. And then, kind of so on and so forth. You probably don't want to just keep going around. That'd give it more like a spiral effect. I don't know if that'd quite make it look like a rose. So the pieces are all bent up. That's what it looks like from the side. We can turn it. Since it's riveted, it's not welded, the whole thing can still move. Kind of a side look. But as you can see, it's starting to look more and more like a flower. But this is not done. The next thing we need to do is we need to find the one that's on the very outside. So it'll be this guy here. We'll bend him out a little bit. But what we're going to do is we're going to take the pliers and we're going to bend them. Give them that actual lip to really make it look like a flower. And so the trick and the key here is you kind of bend these lips as far as you can go. And as you move in, it'll become less and less. The middle, actually, you don't want to bend. So there's, probably these two, you don't really want to have a whole lot of bends. But as you get to the next one out, yeah, you want to tweak it a little bit, start kind of opening it up and then as you get to the outside, it has that curve to it. So I'll get that done, and then I'll show you what that looks like. And just like that, there's the rose. So one little spoof I didn't film on camera was everything was kind of spread out. These were a little bit farther down. Let me just kind of show you. So when I ended up, you know, there's this kind of this big gap here. When I ended, I didn't do too much that final ring of roses, ring of petals. But you kind of just take it and you start to work everything back in. Just kind of grab it, work it back in. Maybe not that far. You can kind of reposition some things to where they're better. There we go. I'll let some of these down a little bit. Make those a little looser. Had to tighten up here, and just like that, got your rose. And then, so you got the stem. That's straight. Roses don't have straight stems. You just stick it in the vise. You bend it. You bend it. You bend it again. Wow, that looks better already. I'm going to open this up a little bit more. Take it, bend it, kind of, oh, there it goes. Just give it some nice. I don't really want to bend that way anymore. Give it some nice, or not so nice, you know, a little bit more pizzazz. You gotta go quite a bit farther. That's not really how I want that. Okay, to get a little bit farther, let's get underneath it. So we got it kind of about there. Tweak him over. There we go, now he's not so straight. This is a natural piece. You need some natural lines, which are more just bent whichever way. Yeah, so there's the rose. Some other things you could do with it, just for the fun, you could do a more of a vein texture in the stem using, no, where is it? Well, that fell out. Let's see if you can see it. It's kind of just a hammer with some cuts in it. That'll put some lines in the stem and give it a little more texture. Another thing that you can also do is you could paint this. You can paint this with a clear coat with a color. That's beautiful. We've done a purple one. That should be up there on Facebook or on my website somewhere. And that, with aluminum, oh, that's beautiful. And they have all kinds of colors for that. Or another thing you could do is paint it a color that you can't see the metal through, but you can take really light sandpaper or a Scotch-Brite pad, and you can go, so you'll spray the whole thing, and then you'll go over it and you'll just rub the leaves a little bit. And with the texture, the high spots will get the silver back, but the low spots will keep the paint in them. And that just creates a world of difference. So, but yeah.